stranger. Russell Brand.
Actor. Russell
Controversial conspiracy theorist.
Trying to bring real journalism to the American people.
It's a special day, you awakening wonders. Glory unto him. It is the era of no more bullshit. And on Thursday, we do special shows where the whole Stay Free team joins us to look at content that would otherwise be banned. Well, that's why if you're watching us on YouTube or X or anywhere other than Rumble Premium, you'll have to get on over and join us for a special. Before we get into today's subject, in part because I can't remember what it is, let me introduce you to the people that make this show. Over there, we've got Jake Smith. All right, Jake.
The hat guy. I'm the hat guy now.
Well, that's how you were described on Minority Report, because you were chuckling at my nipples or my delicious abdomen or not correctly chastising me for my unchristian impression of...
Beautiful day, beautiful day.
We're doing things real well, aren't we? With me in the present, straight out of the Old Testament, it's APAC's own Isaac. How's it going, mate?
Going well. The Cats just won the Stanley Cup, so I'm feeling real good tonight.
And the Cats are a Jew football team, I assume. Congratulations, all of carrying the city of King David. We've got Massey with me. You're a lucid dreamer. How do you know this isn't a dream, Massey?
Because I'm still in it, even though I'm looking around. So yeah, we're good.
It could still be a dream. Could just be a deeper program. And then one of the first and kindest, sweetest Christians I know, beloved Luke, who's responsible for a lot of the X posts. If you see them and think, well, that's like worded a little bit crudely. Yeah, Luke wrote that. How's it going, Luke?
I'm living the dream, baby. I'm in a dream myself. You know the
deal. We're in a dream together. Wherever you're watching us, remember, we make these shows on Rumble and Rumble Premium Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and we'd love you to join us for this incredible journey. Did any of you see any of the Terrence Howard interview yet? Did you see? You were in there with me, weren't you, mate?
The whole thing. I was there live.
Like, so every so often, Isaac would appear from behind the camera or the kit and stuff and go, no, that's true. We are made out of magnesium. That's true. Octopi are made out of copper. And I was like, because I was saying to Terrence Howard, mate, I'm going to start using this shit in conversation. So you better be right. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying I'm trusting you. I'm not saying I don't trust you. I'm saying I do. So you should be right. You seen it yet, Massey?
Yeah, I edited it. What movies has he been in? Because I've got a few clips, but I recognize him, but just from podcasting. So what are like his most famous movies?
Terrence Howard.
Iron Man.
Iron Man.
He was Iron Man before Don Cheadle. He was in the...
he was an Iron Man?
He's Black Iron Man.
What's he called?
He was War Machine
before Don Cheadle.
So was that an Iron Man 1?
Yeah.
He's Tiana's dad, Princess and the Frog. Tiana.
Dude, really?
What is that you referenced? I didn't recognize any of those. He's Tiana's dad in President of Frog.
Princess and the Frog.
Oh, Princess and the Frog.
He's a voiceover. That's a cartoon.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, that's a good ride at Disney. I like that ride.
Hustle and Flow. That's another movie.
Okay, so who chose today's content? Was it Massey?
Yeah, I picked this one. We wanted something on 9/11 because it's the big one. There was a documentary that came out in 2007 called Zeitgeist, and it had three parts to it. The first part was on religion, which is my next pick when it's my turn again, because I want to see you guys answer to some of that stuff, some of that atheist stuff. Actually quite responsible for my atheism, to be fair, but really good. Part 2 is on 9/11, and part 3 is on the global financial system. So this is back from 2007. Peter Joseph, I think the guy's name is. He had like a big spat on Rogan about 8 years later, and he didn't get on that well with Rogan.
He
was a guest on Rogan.
And it didn't go well. Whoa!
It didn't go to. No, they had a bit of an argument. Yeah,
I watched it. I think I watched this one. I watched those Zeitgeist movies. I'd call this relatively early conspiracy theory content. I mean, like, of course, there's the OGs that were doing it in print. The Terence McKenna's, your David Icke's, your Alex Jones. Alex Jones, he's stood the right. Alex Jones is the Dr. Dre of conspiracies. Like, you can criticize him if you want, but you ain't got any of the rest of us without Jones. And like David Icke, I don't know if he's Eazy-E or someone from Run DMC or what he is, but I know he's pissed off. Like, because I think every single post of David Icke is, I've been telling you this for ages. I've been telling you this. I told you not to trust them. Like, it's his whole vibe. Now, this Zeitgeist movie, I feel like this was the one that I watched that said stuff like, they claimed to find terrorists' passports in the burning wreckage and stuff. I was like, no, they didn't. Or the first time I heard about Building 7, I reckon that 9/11 Look, think about the symbol of the tower in scripture and in mythology. The tower, and even maybe the Twin Towers, you go even that far, that has sort of like, that's mythically represented a bunch. A brilliant academic and philosopher that I was friends with for a while, maybe I'll be friends with him again. You know, a lot of people don't make the cut. Like, you know, sort of if you become a hotly controversial figure, some people are like, whoa, I'm still making my money out of this shit. I'm out. You know, so thanks to all of you guys and thanks to you watching as well. But he was good. He might come back. Professor Brad Evans, he said that these two events, the fall of the Berlin Wall and 9/11, are modern epochal events. And epochal in the philosophy, I think, means like era shifting. Like it's like Foucault used it a lot, the French philosopher and post-structuralist Michel Foucault. But like, he said that once the Berlin Wall came down, the world was one space now. Like it was it wasn't like there's two, it's not a bipolar world with two vying ideas fighting for supremacy. Because I remember I was just a kid, you was all even younger than me, when that Berlin Wall, I was like, why does this fucking matter? Why is this important? I'm really mad because it means the West wins. That's what that meant. Now, 9/11, what it meant is, you know, like, look, you can just look at the historic facts of the matter. First attack on American soil since Pearl Harbor. Like Pearl Harbor, many people believe there's a strategic component. Like most of these crises of like, that was the first crisis event that changed everything. You know, like if that hadn't happened, Google would have been different. Like people were starting already to talk about privacy and surveillance. After 9/11, the argument was like, you do what you got to do. If you need to catch the baddies, you do what you got to do. It began like the Iraq War, which was shouldn't have been anything to do with it, was legitimized by it. The New American Century proposal that the neocons had of wanting to shut down like Libya, take over resources, that includes to this day Venezuela. I mean, if you look at this current escalations between Israel and Iran, America's obvious involvement, look at this secondary narrative that I only learned about. Iran have a relationship with Venezuela. They have so Venezuela could start being like the sort of Cuba of the 2020s, like that, because, you know, part of Iran's deal is like, you know, when we find war, I think one of the things about modern warfare, and obviously I say this as hardly an expert, is like, we know we're not going to do like, it's not going to be America like, well, we got nuclear bombs, so fuck you, Iran, it's over, right? They're not going to do that. So it's already not everything we can do. And sometimes I think when you're dealing with someone like Eddie Gallagher, our friend here who does a podcast called Shoot Me Straight with our brilliant friend and host here, the beloved Dave Fields, Eddie Gallagher got in trouble because an ISIS member of ISIS was killed on his watch, leading to the ridiculous headline, Navy SEAL kills member of ISIS. Essentially, a Navy SEAL unit was sent to accompany an Iraqi battalion that was set up in that sort of post-Saddam fall Iraqi army, which basically means a puppet government anyway. And the Navy SEALs were like following them, helping them out a bit, and they couldn't get too involved because of, I guess, Geneva Convention or whatever militaristic rules might govern warfare. So a warrior like Eddie Gallagher's having to sort of like sit on his hands in a sort of a military situation. Well, that in microcosm is all of this, because America's not going to go, we're sending out that 10,000 jets, we're going to land troops, we're taking over Iran. It's going to be modified war over time. Who does that suit? Who likes prolonged war? What did Julian Assange tell us? The goal is not to win Afghanistan. The goal is to prolong Afghanistan. Then you can generate revenue, you can keep it running, and all of that sort of flat out conspiracy. From 9/11 onwards, the world has changed. Media changed. The way we relate to one another, the way we are willing to compromise our freedom for security changed. Since then, we've lived kind of, I believe, in a forever crisis. 2008, a massive financial apocalypse that was used to augment different levels of control and used to break up burgeoning social movements. COVID legitimized control to a degree never seen before. So I feel that in a sense, 9/11 is one of the big daddies, because if it's anything other than, I mean, have you ever seen that stuff where Osama bin Laden goes, it's nothing to do with me? Like, have you seen that? Like, he says, I was nothing to do with it. Like, hear me out. Like, you know, like, it's so complicated and weird, the involvement of the Saudi, even like level 1 conspiracy, the involvement of the Saudi Arabians, Building 7, whether it relates to I'm gesturing to Isaac, however it relates to Israel. Like, there's so many things to unfold and unpack just from this. It tells us a lot about the modern world and the way that the modern world is changing, right up to and including this day. Because however this war unfolds with Iran are going to have to resort to, they're a nation that has relationships with Hezbollah, Hamas, and how they're going to play that shit out for Venezuela and the southern border. I don't know. These are just a bunch of questions. What we do know is America won't go at maximum capacity because America can't go at maximum capacity. And Iran, if they're going to fight it according to what they've got, they're going to have to fight some sort of guerrilla war. So 9/11, in a way, is still happening. Of course it's still happening. World War I is still happening. It was a resource war, the rise of sort of colonial nations and the reconfiguring of colonial nations to accommodate a new superpower. Anyway, so that's the context that I'm watching this in. Have any of you guys got... Yeah, Matthew, what are you saying, man?
Whenever I think about, because I obviously grew up in the 90s, in the late 80s and early 90s, well, the 90s. And for me, and for a lot of people I speak to, 9/11 was the official end of the 90s. I know it was 2001, but up until then, it was great. And then after that, that really just feel like the inflection point, certainly in my lifetime. I know a lot of people will argue, my mum would argue the 70s was the height. I'm not sure what you'd say, Russell, but for most people, they say that 9/11 was like the end of the 90s, and that is when we just started this slow decline to where we're at now. And it's funny that you say just how much everything has changed in terms of privacy. I remember pre-9/11 doing IT and communication technology and stuff like that in school and being on the internet pretty early. All of the advice was always, when you're online, don't share any personal information at all. Now look at how much that has changed. I know that's mostly with the advent of social media, but now it's put everything on the internet. Like, people live their entire lives online. But when it first started, the internet first started mid-90s, it was be careful what you share online. And I think that 9/11 is partly responsible for that. Of course, social media is the other part of it, but...
Mate, the Palantir thing, like how can you, if people's instincts when dealing with the online space was, we don't tell everyone everything because we'll get conned, it's an anonymous space. Like, I was subject myself to an online scam. And the reason that happened was because I normalized the idea that it's a not sanctified, but sanitized space. Because that's what those corporations were able to do. At the beginning, it was like, whoa, the record industry's ruined, Napster, it's over, this is Gangnam style. Like, things were just going off online. Then they worked out, like any territory. Think of your great country, the United States of America. At first, it's like, whoa, we can just rip this shit up. There's furriers and trappers and loggers and gold miners and cowboys, and people are just claiming territory. After I was like, yeah, we'll take it from here, guys. They sort of lay a sort of a veil over it of governmental control. And I think the same thing happened in cyber territory. That it was like, whoa, we can just do what we want. So it's scams, and of course, all that stuff sort of continues, but there's been a new Titan class. All of the identifiable tiles that cover that space, whether it's Apple, Facebook, Amazon, and things that are less, Palantir. The reason I'm interested in that is because that's sort of secondary. I didn't really know about that. And when I found out with that content, and you should watch it, in fact, have a look at this trailer for our Russell Brand Unpacked of this about Palantir.
Our primary mission is, in fact, to set a global standard for the world for behavior.
Okay, just setting a global standard for behavior. Nothing to worry about there, unless you believe in a little thing like freedom. Nudges and behavioralism and B.F. Skinner and being able to encourage rats down a maze with little pellets of delight might seem like an abstract clinical exercise, but you and I are the rats, and our neurology is being manipulated moment by moment. The reason I'm interested in that is because Palantir, I'd never even heard of, like, Palantir really. And, these are giant, powerful organizations that are either going to have favorable relationships with government, and that will mean we're exploited by them, or unfavorable relationships with government, and that means that the government will try and fuck them up. That's what, like when we were talking about the Brit stuff that's happening in my beloved nation, Britain, with, like, they're now doing a rape grooming gang inquiry. Like, when you see Krishna Gurumurthy, the Channel 4 representative, talking to Jess Phillips, the sort of, I guess she's Home Secretary in my country, Secretary of State. Like, what was amazing is nowhere in the interview do they say, you wouldn't be having this inquiry if Elon Musk hadn't reposted Tommy Robinson. Tommy Robinson, you would have in jail, and X, if you could, you would ban it. So we're living in the country of the UK is trying to work out these new dynamics right now. And this rape gang inquiry, I guess what they'll do is they'll make it take a fuck of a long time, and by the time the results are in, everyone that's implicated's out of power. That's a standard system the government has for dealing with that challenge. Your country's having a different deal because you've gotten a populist leader in power, and now with questions like what's going on with Iran, Israel, what's happening, are you backing out of the migrant thing, whether you agree, I'm not talking about whether you agree with their policies, that's secondary, and in fact, by my reckoning, irrelevant. What we're experiencing is even a figure like Trump in power seems to have to negotiate with or assess and deal with factors that his pre-election assessment of was different. He was not saying, look, when I'm in office, I'm still going to have problems, aren't I? We might have to go with Iran whether I want to or not. Or we might have to have some undocumented labour for agriculture and hospitality to function. That's not what he was saying. So does that mean Trump's just like a regular politician who says what he needs to say prior to election, then governs how he needs to govern? Or does it mean that when you get in these institutions, even if you're a popular and charismatic leader with a massive mandate, there are institutions that get under your skin? Now, like something like this weird fact about Palantir, that Palantir is a part of a CIA carve-out, tells me that the assessment we need of government is deep. Like, most people in America, I reckon, don't think, of course, yeah, we've got... Yeah, when I think of CIA, I think of the various movie stars that have played CIA agents in my lifetime. I don't think, oh, they've got these carve-outs where they have a venture capital arm that sets up private equity and surveillance companies and big tech firms and funds things through USAID. Like, we need to have a massive assessment of what a nation is, man. That's what I think.
It's all the movies. It's every movie you've ever watched. That's where, it's got to come from somewhere. It's actually been happening. They just make it into entertainment, and then we all go, oh, this is crazy that this could actually happen, and it's actually happening. Yeah. So I think that's the part that we become desensitized to it, and then we don't question it anymore. We're like, this is just in the movies. This is only in the movies. No, it's happening in real life. I think about before 9/11, like the Y2K thing, going all the way up to that. That was sort of the beginning of like, this technology is too much for us. We can't handle it. It's going to go to 2000. The whole world's going to end. That whole fear-based thing. And then we go, the very first year, 2001, we go into 9/11.
That's amazing. I forgot about the old Y2K Millennium Bug. It was called for a while. It's like we couldn't handle the zeros coming up. Oh, it's too much. Weird when you think of binary code being 0 and 1s. But that was like early AI hysteria. Yep. That was the premenstrual cramps of the menstrual cycle of AI. Yep. Now it's being delivered. That was us going, well, hold on a minute, this is too much technology. We're automating too much stuff. Now AI is coming down the pipe. And what I saw a brilliant thing online. Someone posted a picture of New York City in, say, something like 1890. And then, like, the same street in, say, like 1912. And they went, look, that's 20 years later, that photograph. What happened to the horse and carriage between photograph A and photograph B could be about to happen to human beings. Like, the horse and carriage was the optimal means of solving the problem of transport. The human being, if you think about most of our role in society, most of us, even us that are working in media like this, we're a privileged elite. There's no question about it. But most of us are the military equivalent of infantry. We might be brave, but we're disposable. We ain't special ops. We're not like, that dude, you need that dude to get in there and blow up that pipe. And like, I think that that's the problem of mass models of government and mass models of control, is all of us need a connection to purpose and to God. And if you don't feel that you're like, if you leave your job at McDonald's, we're getting someone else to do your job at McDonald's. If you sort of feel like, oh, I'm just I'm no different really than the burgers and fries. I'm just another commodity. I'm just a grunt in this system. That's not what we bear. The hallmark of our maker. We bear the molecular signature of divinity within us. So I think that the real battle that's happening now is that technology affords us a model that would make our current systems of power obsolete. If we wanted to, we could opt out technologically, it's possible in a way that it never was before. Like, we'll run our own community of 100 people. We'll use our own currency. We'll grow our own food using advanced permacultural methods. We'll trade only where necessary. We're out. I'm not paying tax to the government no more. I'm not subject to your laws. That's like, we could start doing that shit. Yo, Massey, what are you saying?
I was thinking about, before with all this stuff with Iran at the moment, I've seen a bunch of fake videos of what looks like mushroom clouds rising over Iran and over Israel. And it made me realize, we won't be able to trust video very soon. Like, this is the first AI war. So when it gets to the point where we cannot trust video at all, do we really trust the internet and this level of communication, which is causing so much of a problem? And if that happens, do we then go back to only trusting the people around us, therefore tribal kind of lifestyle? Like, to your point, if we can't trust any of the communication online, and we will highly value interpersonal communication between a few people, like a tribe, basically.
I mean, we already sort of can't. That's why you're getting conversations where, like, look, take the subject of Israel. There are people that have a perspective. I've got people in my own life, as I'm sure you have, that are like, you should basically cut off anyone who says anything negative about Israel. Then I've got people in my life that are like, you should basically cut off anyone who says anything positive about Israel. How am I supposed to hold that in my little life? I'm not fucking Jewish. I'm not like, all I am is, right, we've got to look after my kids. I've got to make enough money. Like, that's all, like, and everyone's living in their own version of that. We are not, in my opinion, designed, and in other people's opinion, evolved to accommodate this number of relationships. And I think anthropology and zoology tell us a great deal that when a chimpanzee troop hits 175, it splits. We're not, like, we could probably handle, I would say, a confederacy of interconnected, syndicated cultures where the majority of governance is internal, except for maybe a 10 Commandments style system of, they got one over there where they're raping kids. That shit's got to be shut down. Or they've got one over there where they're, other than that, just fucking, we're all gay. Cool. We're all Muslim. Cool. We're all dressing up. Cool. Like, it's got to be, because otherwise, the culture war allows us to all be trapped in endless polarity, because one side of the culture war goes, good, we've got our guy in, fuck you. And the other's like, I hate him. And then they're waiting for their person to get in and win the culture war, rather than questioning the entire system itself. There used to be a kind of aesthetic glory in the idea that you might go to Japan or meet someone from the Serengeti and they'll show you their culture and their artifacts and their food. And now there's mass homogeneity, superficial diversity. We've got a gay one, we've got a black one, we've got a Jewish one. Like, superficial diversity, but deep homogeneity underneath it. Everyone believes the same stuff. No one's like, we've got this mad cooking technique. No one's like, I grew these mangoes in my garden like Isaac did. What you want is a personal connection to people's culture and beliefs. Homogeneity benefits none of us. I suppose it's got to be like, somehow we have to hold the tension of one world and the rights of the individual. And culture and tradition are the ways of handling that. Now, the counter argument is, I suppose the whole argument of the yielding to a superpower like the United States of America for its citizenry and domestic population is, you guys, you idiots, chatting away on the internet, you don't know what we're protecting you from. China want to do this. Russia want to do that. These terrorist cells in Venezuela want to do that. And like, if you knew just 1% of what we're dealing with, then you would shit yourself. But what my sort of riposte to that is, well, we don't need power to be aggregated and accumulated to this degree. You've created all of these problems, as a matter of fact. We've all got the problem of death. Isn't it like mad sometimes to press the mental spiritual reset button off? In 100 years from now, barring massive breakthroughs, everyone alive now is going to be dead. So, like, you're not going to have any of them. None of the athletes, none of the musicians, none of the politicians, all gone. Reset. Every century, reset. People are trying to vie against that now, aren't they? I've just come from a place. So can I take this supplement? While watching a woman on a whiteboard go, your testicles aren't going to be producing this. I'm like, wow, we're just me and you in this room discussing my testicles. Have you seen the news? You know, and I'm just like, wow, it's so strange. What am I involved in here? She goes, did you notice this supplement do this or that supplement do that? I goes, well, basically, I said, I live a spiritual life. What I mean by that is my perspective is spiritual and psychological. I don't ever go, oh, ever since I've been taking this thing, I feel so much better. I've never noticed anything like that. All I know is put me under enough pressure and I will develop abs. That's it. That's my only scientific discovery when it comes to, like, you know, anything at all. Anyway, listen, if you're watching us on X or anywhere other than Rumble, join us over on Rumble. Here's a quick message from one of our partners. Free speech is under attack, Jack, but Rumble refuses to take it lying down. Rumble is farting out the fierce cock of authoritarianism and clamping shut the butt cheeks of free speech, baby. We've always believed in empowering voices, no matter how unpopular, and now we're taking that fight to the next level. When major advertisers conspire to pull their dollary dues, even brands like Dunkin' Donuts turned their back, claiming Rumble had a right-wing culture. But we're not here to fit a mold. We're here to defend free expression. How dare you? How dare you? Just look at some of these comments. Keep it going, Russell. Great stuff. That is from Benito Mussolini. Well done, Russell. Magnificent. I loved your take on Israel. And that's from a Mr. Goebbels. You know, there is no right-wing culture here on Rumble. To strengthen this mission, we're excited to offer Rumble Premium, a completely ad-free experience, except ironically, sometimes I do record the ads on Rumble Premium, but you get a behind-the-scenes glimpse. Give us a glimpse, 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 give us a glimpse. Ooh-wee! A completely ad-free experience with exclusive benefits. We're friends, but with benefits. Not benefits like that, Greta Thunberg, if that's your real name.
Greta Thunberg.
Which I doubt. Content from creators like Russell Brand. Yo, I'm that dude. Dr. Disrespect. Are you even a real doctor? Tim Cast. And the Mug Club with Crowder. It's more than a subscription. It's a stand for free speech. Your voice matters. For a limited time, you can get $10 off an annual plan using the Rumble code BRAND. Now, I do want you to do that because my contract is up for renewal and it would really help me. So go get it right now. Visit rumble.com/premium/brand and claim your discount today. Together we can turn the tide, whether you join Rumble Premium or simply keep watching. Your support helps keep free speech alive. If you're watching us on YouTube, we'll be with you for a few more seconds. But if you want to watch Zeitgeist, you know, it's the kind of thing that probably still gets banned on YouTube. I think like what us lot should be discussing are the kind of things that you can't discuss anywhere else. I think all of us are feeling like, you know, this team here, you, let us know, you're the people that we're making this for. Look, like, we're at the edge of giving a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, how much longer can you sort of like do a version of, oh yeah, I love Trump, I hate Trump, or, you know, maybe AOC, or I'm over it, to tell you the truth. I think that Trump's the creature that the times demanded. That's how I would define him. And I can see things about him that are fantastic, and I understand why some people are, you know, outraged or whatever. I don't feel like we got much to offer. I don't think anyone has, actually. Yeah. You know, like, you know, I'd like listening to Steve Bannon or Charlie Kirk or, you know, whoever, like people that know a bunch of stuff. But do you know what I thought the other day when we watched, you guys can have a look at this. We watched a show called Minority Report, which is sort of pretty antithetical to other things you might imagine in a load of ways. I was about to say that, but imagine if some Tutsi tribe came, or extraterrestrials. You know, all it is really is Sam Cedars, a white guy with a beard in middle age. I'm a white guy with a beard in middle age. What? We're not different from an 8-foot tall Tutsi warrior with a spear coming and going, he wouldn't give a shit. Or like an extraterrestrial that's like, you know, a squid, they wouldn't give a shit. Like, you know, what's the differences? The vanity of small differences. It's like me getting angry about Tottenham Hotspur fans. No offense if you are a Tottenham Hotspur fan. You know, I support a London team, you support a London team. I care about Jimmy Greaves, you care about Jimmy Greaves. Slightly different eras, and even for a contemporary football fan, that's an antiquated reference. Anyway, my point is this. I think that we've got to, reset ourselves to a point where what we're talking about and what we're doing, we actually care about it. And, because